Another live stream with Spikes and Gills, Monday night, 9 to 10 live. All right, this week's live stream is all about talking about getting your buck late season. I mean, we're here in Maine. We're into the last week of the regular rifle season on the Maine's 2025 deer hunt. And next week's going to be muzzleloader. And actually, where I live in Maine, for some reason, I have no idea why. The explanation was never told to me. I never really researched this why. But in where I live, we only get 1 week in muzzleloader season. But in a lot of parts of the state of Maine, they get 2 weeks, 2 extra weeks for muzzleloader. I don't know why where I live we only get 1 week. It's beyond, I don't know. Hey, maybe you guys could let me know that. Like, I live in like the down east portion of Maine. I'm not telling you the town or the address where I live. I don't want you stalking me, but maybe you could tell me in the chat, why is it that some places in the state of Maine, they only give 1 extra week, additional week for muzzleloader, for late season muzzleloader hunting, and in other parts of the state they allow 2 weeks? Why is that? What do you guys think about that? And also, chat away and sharing your 2 cents on why late season hunting sometimes can be the best time at harvesting your buck, or that target buck you've been chasing, going after. I mean, I have all kinds of ideas in my head as to why, just based on my years and years of research and listening to podcasts and reading about it, and my own personal hunting experiences through the last 30 plus years I've been deer hunting. I'm holding here in my hands right here not a late season whitetail that I shot. This is one I shot many eons ago. Almost 20 years ago, maybe? No, 19. Maybe 19 years ago. I shot this guy. So buck with my bow. This was an archery harvest in Maine. Nice little 4-point buck. So not a late season. This was an early season deer. But so who just come on? Wow, Jason Tooley. How you doing, Jason, buddy? Did you get your deer? Did you tag out? And are you a Maine hunter, Jason, or are you from another state? And welcome. Soon we're gonna have Jason Gibson on here. I've got my laptop open, ready to go, because there's some things from Jason that I want to share with you guys. See, who else do we have on here? We got Jackson. We got Keon Jackson. Hey there, how you doing? Says hi. How you doing? Mary Ellis Shiver says hi. Hi, Mary. Are all of you deer hunters? All of you that are starting the chat, do you hunt deer? And are you hunting in Maine, or are you from a different state? And so Mary says, I love hunting deer. Mary, are you a Maine deer hunter, or are you from another state? And quail, oh nice, quail. So I'm saying, let's see, you're probably from, what, Midwest? Somewhere out west somewhere, Mary, if you're hunting quail. We don't hunt quail here in Maine. Oh, Georgia, yeah, nice. So south. Yeah. So how was your deer season so far, Mary? Do you have much success in late season, or are you mostly successful in early or mid season? Yeah, good. She says good. Nice. Well, welcome, Mary. Thank you for joining my live stream. I go live every Monday nights, 9 to 10. And obviously, the last several weeks and the weeks ahead are all going to be about deer and deer hunting. Eventually, I'm going to be transitioning to ice fishing. Hence the name of my channel, Spikes, having to do with deer, moose, spike deer, spike moose, whatever. Spikes has to do with hunting. The gills part of the channel is all about fishing. So I'll eventually get into ice fishing. But thank you for, okay, yeah. You see that, everybody? Mary shot an 8-point this year. Nice. I've had a 3 deer season so far here in Maine. Yeah, I didn't get no 8-point, but I got a trophy 11-pointer just the other day. They were actually like 12-plus-inch spikes. It was a spike buck. Here in Maine, our deer density is low. We don't have the deer density that other states have, like Georgia. So I think I did 7+ full day sits where I never left the stand or blind wherever I chose to hunt any one of those 7 days. Sat all day, never saw a single deer. 7 full day sits here in Maine. And then there were many in between half-day hunts and a couple hour hunts mixed in between those 7-day full day hunts. Ever since archery season in October, all the way through November till just this Saturday evening, I never saw a buck, not a shooter buck. I had a little tiny little barely legal spike buck that I passed, and then a couple does I passed that I could have legally shot to tag out with my statewide tag. So I could have had a 3 doe season here. But this past Saturday evening, I shot a trophy 11-point buck. I like to call him 11-point buck because his spikes, man, holy cow, they were. I've shot. I think he makes the sixth spike buck a shot in Maine, and I've gotten 8+8-pointers. I've got some 6-pointers, 3-pointers, 4-pointers. In the 30+ years I've deer hunted in Maine, I've shot a lot of deer. I've shot probably like 30+ deer. This was a 3-deer year. I've had several 3-deer years, several 2-deer years. I always fill a deer tag every year in Maine, which kudos to me, pat on my back to be able to get a deer every year in a low deer density state. But yeah, to have, how many of you other hunters out there? See, we've got Denise Chandler. Oh, I think that's my wife. What's my son? Is that you, Bryson? I think my son's joining my live stream. We got Paige Shiver says, hi, hey, Paige. Paige, and all of you that are on. Hi, hey, Paige. Yeah. Oh, my son's being funny. My son's watching the live stream, everybody. My son's 12 years old. He got his first deer at 10, and I promise I'll eventually get into late season deer hunting talking about thankfulness and how, and like according what the title implies for my live stream. I'll get into that eventually. But so Mary got an 8-point buck in Georgia, everybody. Did you see that? And thank you, Mary, very much for the 99 cents. I think and the thumbs up and the heart. Appreciate the follow and support, everybody. So those of you that are joining us, just join us now. Are you a Maine deer hunter? Are you a deer hunter from Georgia like Mary? Or do you hunt some other state? And how's your season going? We're getting into the late season part of deer hunting. And how many of you have better luck early season? How many of you have better luck mid-season? How many of you have better luck late season? And then let us know in the chat and expound on some reasons why you think early season's better. And oh my word, this could be what I intend to be an hour-long live stream could very easily become multiple hours because I could expound on early season deer hunting. I could expound a bit on the pre-rut, leading up towards the peak rut time of year, and then obviously late season. So let's see. Mary says, I have to go, but stay blessed. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Appreciate you coming on really appreciate you, Mary. And congratulations on your buck. And maybe I'll see you next Monday night. So every Monday night, I go live 9 to 10. So everyone remember that. Okay, so let's see what else. My name is Patricia. So Paige or Patricia, do you hunt deer? Thank you for joining the live stream. And if you do hunt deer, are you a Maine deer hunter or do you hunt from another state? Okay, so as the title implies, late season can be really a good time and for all intents and purposes an easy time to finally get that target buck you've been chasing, after. So you've got to imagine the life of that buck. that you've been chasing for weeks now, that you haven't put your tag on. What did he go through from summer into early fall, pre-rut? Think of his life in the last 3-4 plus months. He had it easy in the summer, August, September. Him and his bros that he was traveling with, and the bachelor group. You know, the bucks, the mature bucks, they'll travel in groups of 2 or more. You could have 2 traveling together. You have 3 or 4, or upwards of 6 or more, depending on the state you live in, and depending on if you have a higher deer density where you live. You could have multiple bucks of different age classes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old bucks hanging together. Clearly, obviously, they're just milling around, feeding. Their core area is shrunken, it's small early in the season, where they have all the groceries they need. They have no need to expend too much energy. And actually, they're obviously in the summer. It's very hot when the heat's on. That deer don't move. The amount of steps they take during daylight hours is minimal. They're still moving, still doing deer things. They're still up. They're gonna move, but probably in like more of shaded areas where it's cooler, in the microclimate type areas where they can stay cool. They actually, the way they cool themselves is from panting and from their blood circulating through their legs and ears, the parts of their body that aren't as hairy. As that blood passes through those extremities of their bodies, the blood cools in those areas and then circulates back around through their body a little cooler to help regulate their temps. They don't have it as easy as we do, and other animals, mammals do, for that matter, to stay cool, to keep cool and regulate their temps. So it's imperative that they regulate their temps, for their survival and stuff. And they also don't want to expenditure too much energy. They want to conserve the energy best they can, and also for good survival. So in the summer, early season, when the heat's on, the heat of the day, a hunter would do well to target swampy wetland areas, lower elevations where it's cooler. But on the flip side of this, the thermals have a lot to do with your success. You've got to be paying attention to thermals. You got to find those thermal hubs. Thermal hubs are just areas where you hunt where the thermals pool, or there's almost like a thermal tsunami where all the surrounding scent in the deer's area is pooling to where they're hanging out during the day, where they're bedding, and where they're spending the majority of the day. So it can almost be virtually impossible for a hunter to creep in, slip in close to a mature buck where they're holding up in early season. But early season tactics, why I'm talking about this, you can use early season tactics in late season. And so early season can be easy hunting, or if you just do a more evening sits than mornings. If you get in close to where you think your target buck is spending the majority of his day, obviously his bedding area or his core area. If you can be somewhere close on the extremities of that area, and you have a foolproof access and entry and exit, that's not leaving ground scent for the deer to detect you and find you. And you're not alerting and alarming any deer on your entry and your exit to your stand location. And if you can manage that, get in, slip in quietly without alerting any nearby deer, so that way in turn you're not alerting that buck you're after, you could be very successful early season and putting your tag on that buck if you catch him in the last hour of daylight coming up out of that bedding area. And so the flip side of that, we're into late season. Late season, you got to think bed to feed, like how they were living early season before the pre-rut, when they were scraping a lot, rubbing a lot of trees, running scrape lines, and before they were before the fall shift, where they might have shifted the majority of their activity, the majority of their day-to-day activities closer towards near doe groups. The fall shift is just where the buck kind of left his summer core area, that summer range where he was spending the majority of his time in the summer and early September time frame. They shift probably like quarter mile, half a mile, probably a little bit. And some don't go far. Some stay home bodies. You gotta. I'm not talking about all bucks. Some mature bucks are homebodies and won't venture far. They'll stay in that 1 to 1.5, 2 mile max square mile radius kind of home range, and there'll be a core area within that 2 mile square area, a core area that they spend 50+% of their time in. There's those type of bucks, but then there are those that disappear out of your hunting area during the pre-rut and the rut, peak of the rut, because that basically they're shifting to the area where each year they get plenty of tail, where they're successful at mounting and breeding several does. They didn't go too far. They're still around. They exist. They didn't disappear. They didn't get killed. For all intents and purposes, that buck is probably just a half a mile away, quarter a mile away, not far. Still nearby your hunting area. He's still occupying his home range, but he might be more towards one end of that home range, close towards those doe groups, where there's 2 or 3 does living here, where there's a group of does over here. He's running the scrape line from doe group to doe group along the ridge lines, downwind of doe feeding areas, downwind of doe bedding areas. He's there. You just gotta put boot leather on the ground and just figure out, figure it all out, find that telltale. They tattle on themselves. The bucks will let you know where they are. If you find that sign, poof, you hit pay dirt, man. You're well on your way to getting him. It's their own dang fault for tattling on themselves, laying down those scrapes, rubbing those trees, leaving those big tracks and those big scat pellets and just all that obvious sign that screams big buck. And so he's the buck. He's in late season. He's gonna shift again, going from his rut kind of time frame. This where he was bedding downwind of doe areas, doe bedding, traveling downwind and doing his morning jaunts, circling his scrape lines and scent checking where the does, smelling the doe trails. He's gonna go from that activity in the late season to just feed to bed kind of pattern. And I've always said patience wins all, and the buck you're chasing, you're after, will return home. Then again, he's always been home. Like I said, the shifting stuff is just, they might be half a mile, quarter mile on this end of his home range core area, versus from early season, he might have been down here, or he could be in the middle part of his home. You just got to figure all that out when you're in your hunting and just piece all the puzzles together. They're leaving the sign, man. You're gonna want to find it eventually. And then plus the multiple trail cameras you might catch pictures of them occasionally, and eventually you're gonna take all the puzzle pieces. You'll be able to put that puzzle together, and you'll eventually succeed in getting him. And then, for all intents and purposes, you've been chasing your target buck early season, since September possibly, through early October, and at the pre-rut, the rut. And I could continue to go on a tangent here and expound on each one of those seasons. But so you've been after them all that time. Now we're in the late season, and all of a sudden you're getting cell cam notifications that he's back around. He's feeding. All of a sudden you get a pic of him grazing in an area where he's every year for the last couple of years you've been chasing this buck. He's been grazing, or where you found his shed antlers. They always return to their core area, return home, and they're gonna bed a little bit more. They'll be more, they'll go back to whatever I was trying to say, scientific word, but they'll go back to more movement in the early hours of the day and later in the evening, and there'll be probably a little less midday movement from them than there was back in the seeking, chasing phase of the rut when they weren't bedding at all, when they were chasing dog and does, snell belling them, running after, trying to find an available doe, and they were on their hooves constant all the time. So late season, it could be all about using those early season tactics like I just mentioned earlier in this live stream. I should probably pause here just briefly before I keep going, because there's some more people coming on. It says, you kill the ones on the wall? I did. Hey, Dick Peter. Hey, did you get your deer? Dick Peters, 8629. Are you a Maine deer hunter, or do you hunt a different state? Wooly 2012 says, how do I find a doe right now? My problem with finding deer right now is hunting pressure, and deer are near houses. So Wooly 2012, are you a Maine deer hunter, or do you hunt another state? Hi, Bunny, 9572. What's your highest point? Are you a deer hunter, Bunny, 9572? Daniel Rodriguez says, hi. Hi, Daniel. Have you got your deer yet, Daniel? How's your season going? So, Jason Gibson hasn't chimed in here yet. Maybe he forgot about the live stream. Or maybe he'll come on soon. Says, yes, Southern Maine. So, Wooly is... my buddy Thunder just got a nice 8-point buck, I think, this morning. Congratulations to him. He had a rough season. He was saying he was having a rough season. That was his first deer of this season. I've had a 3-deer season so far in Maine, but he has a doe tag. I don't think he filled that this evening. He hadn't even filled his doe tag, and he's been hunting since archery season. So you're not alone in that, Wooly 2012. Yeah, so Southern Maine has a lot of deer. The deer density is pretty good down there, but yes, a lot more houses, roads. The Orange Army is real down there. As my friends, I have some friends that live in Southern Maine, my best friends from Southern Maine, and they're always talking about the Orange Army. I'm fortunate to be able to hunt here where I do without seeing. I can hunt all day and never see a single soul, another hunter. I'll hear distant shots a mile away here and there. There are other hunters that hunt the outskirt properties around where I hunt, but I have the property I hunt, I have to myself. But not everyone can say the same. And Wooly says tons of hunters. Yeah, I know it. Whew. You're almost stepping on each other's toes, and there could be a lot of hunter-to-hunter confrontations and stuff down there. It can be a little sketchy at times hunting Southern Maine because of all the hunters that are out there. And because I got a doe the first day and a spike the last week. Tons of hunters. So you did... Oh, nice. So you had a 2 deer a year then. So Wooly 2012, you did get a deer. I thought you were asking, can I... Or do you have like another doe tag or something? I got a doe. I filled my doe tag the second day of archery season. And I had another special density map survey kind of tag I got texted. That was texted to me by a game warden. The state of Maine, this is their first year doing this density map survey study thing where they're giving out a surplus of doe tags in the highest deer density areas of the state. I don't know how many years they're going to do this study, but they're obviously going to... I had to submit my coordinates, the coordinates of where I shot the deer, take a picture of the deer and text all that back to the game warden so he could submit it to the state for the reporting and for this density map survey study thing. So I filled that doe tag. And then I got a big trophy 11 pointer. Minus these points. A big trophy 11 pointer. The spikes were as long as that. This is like, if you were to measure this and make it a little straighter, this buck I got Saturday evening, his spikes were about this long, but straighter, standing them up. Over 12-inch, 13+ inch spikes on this. That's a trophy spike horn if I was home. I will do a European mount of that buck and proudly hang it on my wall because it's the 6th spike buck I shot in the state of Maine. I've gotten a ton of 8-pointers. I seem to not... This is my first buck that's not an 8-pointer. This is a 9-pointer, has 1 extra point. I've gotten 6s, 4s, 6-pointers, 3-pointers, 4-pointers, spikes, and tons of 8-pointers, 8 or more 8-pointers in the state of Maine. Trophy that are hanging on the buck mounts over there. There's a couple 8-pointer mounts over there. Some 8-point buck here. Got this one with my bow, an 8-point buck. Got them mostly all. 90% of the deer I've shot in the state of Maine were all with my bow and arrow. I haven't gotten too many with a gun. I'm usually successful early. I bow hunt, so I get to hunt early season, and I shoot deer early on and tag out a lot of times early before November. So I've gotten most of my deer, and I've gotten tons of does, expanded archers. But yeah, this is where I was. Yeah, so I got So Wooly says he got a doe and a spike. Good for you. Congratulations on getting your deer. I got a spike too Saturday evening, but he was like, how big was your spike buck? Mine was 117 pounds, field dressed, and man, the video is all sweet. I had called him in out of the swamp. It was like 10 minutes. There was 10 minutes of legal shooting light left. And I just mentioned earlier in my live stream that I had sat over maybe 7 or more days, all day long, all day sits like 7+ times, and not seen a single deer those 7 full day sits. And then half-day hunts and a couple-hour hunts here in between those 7-day full-day sits ever since October till this last week of November. I'm not seeing a buck. Just a little spike buck early on in archery season I passed. That was barely legal. Some other does I passed that I could have shot, tagged out on. And it would have made it a 3 doe year for me. Instead, it's a 2 doe year and 1 buck so far. Have a couple expanded archery tags. I have another buck tag. Could go hunt for another buck in expanded archery if I so choose. But so it says, what are your thoughts on dog hunting? So Drew, how you doing, buddy? You're not the only one that asked me about the dog hunting thing. Man, I'm a dog hunter. Oh, I mean, hunting deer with dogs? Is that what you're implying? I think in some states it is legal to hunt deer with dogs. I know I've used the bloodtrackers.org. I've had that people that with dogs that are trained in finding wounded deer that you've shot that couldn't find. I've used them, used blood trail and deer tracking dogs to help track down my deer I've shot that I had trouble finding. But so he says, yes, Drew uses dogs for hunting. I don't think it's legal in the state of Maine to use dogs for hunting. Oh man, cold apple cider is so good. Yeah, I wonder how that would be. Apple cider, that might attract a buck. Keep an eye on behind me. It could be hey, that's my apple cider. Don't even think about it. So back to the chitter chatter about late season hunting and stuff. So those of you that are just joining me live, did you see in the chat that she had to leave, but she was so kind and paid me 99 cents. Mary Ellis Shiver from Georgia, she paid me 99 cents, gave me a heart, a thumbs up. She's most likely subscribed to Spikes and Gills. She got an 8-point buck in Georgia. So shout out to Mary. Where's Jason Gibson? He sent me an email. I got my laptop up here. I'm going to open that email and share the pics that he sent and the recipe and such so forth. He always joins the live stream every Monday night. He hasn't come on yet. But. So Garrett Bethel says, you like to hunt. Oh, yeah. What about you, Garrett? Are you a hunter? Do you hunt too, Garrett? Are you a Maine deer hunter, or do you hunt a different state, Garrett? So I was just saying, I was expounding a little bit on early season deer hunting and transitioning into the pre-rut and rut stuff, and talking about how the buck that you've been chasing for a couple months now, that you might not have put your tag on, that all hope shouldn't be lost. You should still remain calm, patient. Patience wins all, I always say. And I always like to say the bucks always return home. Those wanderers, those that do that fall shifting, and all that just means is they're focusing more on does. They're shifting their most of their activity and their day-to-day activity closer towards doe groups, doe feeding areas, and multiple doe groups, not just one particular doe group of 3 or 4 or 6 does, but they might be keeping tabs on these does over here, and maybe like several hundred yards, or maybe a quarter of a mile this way, there's another doe group they're checking on that, hence their scrape lines. Scrape here, and then several hundred yards more scraping, and you might find scrapes. If you can find a mature buck's scrapes, and whoo, man, and those scrapes are fresh, they were just made like late October, the last week of October leading into the first week of November. That was 2 weeks there, and there's that window, the 7 to 10 day window, where if you can have an entry and exit route to a scrape where you're not alerting any nearby deer, and that you're confident you didn't spook any deer, and they're not knowing that the deer don't know you exist. You can watch that scrape, and you found scrapes close by known buck bedding areas, known areas where you know bucks frequent and hold up in the daytime hours, in the heat of the day. You could very well put your tag on a mature buck where he's coming to a scrape in front of your stand from his bedding area. And if you could take a whole week off from work, if you could plan 7 days in advance to scrape hunt over a tight sign like that, they almost always return to a scrape every 2 to 3 days. If you have trail cameras set up, you're getting 2 to 3 pictures of a buck in 1 week time span. That is phenomenal. That is really good. You want to take, and this has been going on for years. You got to keep year-to-year data, because these bucks are going to be, if they're still alive, they're going to be back to these same areas year after year after year. They're there for a reason. They're there because of the does that come into heat and estrus at the same time every year are going to come in heat. If they're still alive, they're going to come in heat again. So you want to take that week off, that time from off work, to get your butt in there. You can put your tag on a nice mature trophy buck. But that's just me going on a tangent here about early season, like pre-rut hunting. But so now here it is, late season. All hope isn't lost. Remain patient. Bed to feed, man. You got to think, okay, yeah, you got the pics, your picture notifications that your buck you've been after is still alive. He's back home. He's back in the area. Now what? You should already have probably your best stand locations set up, and your blinds set up in certain areas. If your buck may have shown up on a camera nearby one of your stands, try that out on an evening set. Late season hunting could be done. You're going in midday and sitting for those 4 hours of daylight. The last 4 hours could be dynamite. Near, slipping in to you almost like I was saying in the middle of this live stream, your early season tactics on going after a trophy buck. You use those same type of tactics and approach in late season to be successful. Again, if it's bed to feed kind of pattern again in late season, then you find they're obviously going to be on the best known food source, the most palatable and nutritional food source for the deer in your hunting area in late season currently at this time. And you should make a game plan to hunt that food source and close by the buck area, and catch that buck coming up out of his bed to the feed, and you can get her done. Just your morning hunts, you won't want to booger up an area, a feeding area, trying to get into they don't venture as far late season. Just like in early season, they don't venture far, they don't go far. Your bucks are more homebodies. In the early season, they're going to be more homebodies. Late season, the majority of the does in your hunting area should already have been bred currently at this time. But some smarty pants is going to come on here. That this light bulb already went off in my head. Some smarty pants is going to come on here and say, well, what about the yearling does? Yes, does actually are sexually available. They're sexually mature before they're even 1 year old, versus the the buck fawns aren't even sexually mature till a year and a half. Their sisters are able to mate, breed way before their siblings, before the male fawn. So how fair is that, right? But yes, there's the yearling does, hence your post rut. That's like, but in a lot of like the state of Maine, the post rut almost happens here after the last week of deer hunting. We have 2 weeks of muzzleloader season. That could, for all intents and purposes, the second week of muzzleloader season, mean closer towards the middle of December, the post rut could heat up. There could be a surge of rutting activity then, where the bucks are chasing and seeking after the yearling does that are coming into estrus and heating. And so, yeah, that could be an exciting time to hunt late season, get button into the post rut. But right now, the last week of November, leading into the beginning of December, the majority of your adult does, your older does, should already have been bred. There's probably hardly any does coming into heat, into estrus right now. Maybe a select few. It's barely probably 5 to 10% of the doe population is probably coming into estrus right now. It's probably more like 5%. Where versus just a couple weeks ago, 80 to 90% of your doe population were probably coming into heat, and there was a lot of just a fury of activity then. But so right now, late season, it's all about the feeding up. Those bucks need to replenish the fat reserves they've lost from running the does and stuff. The bucks lose certain percentage of their body fat and body mass and weight and fat from the rigors of the rut. And that's common knowledge. All hunters know that. So it's all about the food for the bucks right now. And so it should be all about the food, the bed to feed pattern for that buck that you're chasing right now for yourself. And you've done your scouting for years. These trophy bucks in your hunting area that you've been hunting for the last several years. You should have year-to-year data points on these bucks and pictures of them and so forth, so on. You should already know the known hot bedding areas for bucks, the best feeding areas. So you could be pretty simple. So that's why the late season hunting later in the season could be the easiest and best time to put your tag on that trophy mature buck you've been hoping for and hunting for the last couple months. See, most points on a buck. Yeah, so he's asked me that already. 9. Right back at 9 points for me. 8. I can't get away from the 8-pointers. I've shot in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Downstairs in the freezer, I got a couple other 8-point bucks I still got to mount. I do my own taxidermy. I mounted this buck and that buck over there. I mounted the bear here. I do my own taxidermy, so I've got some bear I still have to mount for myself. A couple bucks, a 7-pointer, 8-pointer I got to mount for myself, and my son's first deer I got to mount. But I've shot in 1. Wait, what about that one? Wait, 1. Oh my, we're 8 or more 8-pointers. I've gotten like a 7-pointer, 6-pointer, a few 4-pointers, bunch of spikes, tons of does. So 9. I have shot at who is it? Someone just asked me about how many points, most points I've gotten on a buck. An old YouTube video, if you go to my Spikes and Gills catalog video, go to the actual channel, go to my Spikes and Gills channel and go back, way back in my video library. There's an old school video on my Spikes and Gills YouTube channel of where I hunted a 10-point buck in expanded archery zone in Maine. It was an expanded archery hunt I think it was early season September, and I blew my chances on him. I hit the buck low. I just scraped him, like scratched him. It was just a flesh wound. He went on to live, and then a guy, believe it or not, a guy I went to college with shot him a month later in October, and he was a dandy. I blew my chances, screwed up on a 10-point buck, so I would have had a 10-pointer, nice trophy, once in a lifetime 10-point buck. He was massive, massive rack buck. And it's a funny ending to the story. Well, not funny for me. I was sad, I was jealous and saddened. But a guy that was in some of my college classes with me in college, I knew from college, he was hunting the same expanded archery area, and he got this 10-point buck with his bow, and I got to see it. It was massive. So I've had, for some reason in my hunting area, Crayson, where I hunt, I'm constantly finding 8-pointers, but massive ones. So some good, like 3-year-old, 4-year-old 8-pointers with big racks, like probably 125, 130-inch racks. And for Maine, that's pretty good. But I got this 9-pointer. This is Shorty. At 2 years old, he was only an 8-pointer, and tines were 2 inches shorter than that. He was always going to have short points on him, hence the name Shorty. At 3.5 years old, he grew a 9th point, and he's the first buck that I know of in my hunting area where I hunt that had more than 8 points. I happened to harvest him, and there's a buddy of mine that hunted the same area. He doesn't hunt there anymore where I hunt, but last year, I got this buck last year on Halloween Day with my bow, this 9-pointer. He was 202 pounds. But a buddy of mine that I know hunted in the same area, and he got a bigger racked buck. His buck was like 198 pounds, not quite 200. He had a bigger racked buck. It had 8 points, but he broke off a 9th. Or was it a 9-pointer and was going to be a 10? I think his was a 9 as well. A big rack 9. So it was 2 9-pointers taken away. But the 10th point was broken off of his rack. So there was a 10-pointer, I think, at one point in time running around my hunting area. So let's see. Data Monkey says, I sent a couple questions just above. Also, can you show your email address again? I lost it. I wanted to send you some pictures. I'm waiting on Jason Gibson to come on. Jason Gibson sent me an email with some pics about a venison recipe I wanted to share. So Data, sorry, so it says, all my cams are showing deer late evening. How can I find where they came from during light? Oh, late. So all your cams from late. Yeah, let's see. So have you pegged? Have you figured out the direction they're coming from? See, if they're late evening pics, which way? Can your camera make your pictures into 10-second videos? Like I use the Moultrie Edge cellular trail cameras, and I can choose what photos I want to turn to 10-second video clips. So if you have a camera that can make videos, that would be very helpful. You should be able to see which direction they're coming from your trail cam picture. Because obviously they come from this way. So what's that way? If they're coming from that way, they're bedded somewhere that way. What? Look at your Onyx app, your maps and stuff, or just do your scouting the area. Figure out where they were coming from and why, the reasons why they were coming from there. And if they're heading in the evening, if they're heading somewhere, they're heading that way for the food. This time of year, they're going after the food. There might be a random stray doe coming into estrus late season. Obviously, the post-rut's coming. Those yearling does that are barely a year old, they're going to come into estrus in the heat eventually in another couple weeks, 3 weeks maybe from now. But for all intents and purposes, our deer hunt season's over in Maine by the time the post-rut really heats up. But so, see, I sent, it says about 9 p.m. Yeah, they do clips. You can get vid clips. Sweet. So 9 p.m., it's dark. Holy crap, that's real late. So a lot of times, it's always been said that if you're getting a lot of 9, 10, 11, 12, like midnight picks, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. picks of deer on your food plots and your feeding areas and areas where you hunt. A lot of guys have said that those deer are coming off of bordering properties. They're probably coming from far away, coming from areas where you can't hunt and don't hunt, so you might not be able to figure out the reasons why those deer came from that way. But yeah, they clearly came from a swamp, like your tamarack, cedar swamp type area, or wherever the stem count's highest. Right now, with all the leaves off the trees, all of a sudden the woods are, you can see further in the woods all of a sudden. The deer shift in their patterns, their movement patterns, and they change trails. Some deer trails that were used early season, mid-season go cold, won't ever get used because those trails are exposed. They're going to feel exposed and not feel safe walking those trails because the leaves are down, the ferns have fallen down, all your grasses, all your herbaceous, your broad-leaved, like wood, broad-leaved, tall herbaceous vegetation that once hid the deer, early season, early fall, mid-season, that's toppled over, that's dried up, withered away, fallen down, it's matted down, the leaves are gone, the deer would be exposed there. So they've shifted their travel patterns, their travel routes back a ways, back towards transition zones, back towards lines where you have habitat transitions, where one habitat meets another, where a clear cut, an old cutting or clear cut meets a swamp type area, or some other type, or just an older growth forest that hasn't been cut. But you might have a 3 to 5 year old cut and cut over area that's got waist high, chest high, head high growth vegetation with lots of stem count, with some entanglement. Maybe there's some raspberry bushes there, some saplings, a lot of saplings growing up, so a lot of speckled alder and maples, some places where the deer feel safe to travel. Those deer are definitely coming from those type of areas. They were traveling, their daylight travel was where they don't feel exposed, where they feel safe. You got to figure out where those areas are in your hunting area. And it's going to be the same every year. As long as those deer aren't run off from major human disturbance, as long as a bulldozer didn't come through your hunting area and wipe out the forest and development didn't happen, and as long as you didn't have like the Orange Army, like tons of hunters ransacking the woods, your hunting area, and turning those deer nocturnal and running every deer off the property you're hunting. And those deer are going to use those same travel corridors, travel routes year after year after year. The data speaks for itself. Keep year-to-year data always. Start an Excel spreadsheet or something, or just write it in a journal. Keep data. It's going to be the same year to year. So it says lots of nearby cranberry bogs around. Yeah, cranberry bogs are good. That's a different type of habitat. That's creating edge. I'm sure you've heard this, Data Monkey, and all you other hunters. White-tailed deer are creatures of edge. Have you ever heard that term thrown out there? I've used this, just this known knowledge. What is your email? Okay, wildmaineoutdoors@gmail.com. Yeah, can you hold it steady? wildmaineoutdoors@gmail.com. WILDMANIE outdoors@gmail.com. wildmaineoutdoors@gmail.com. So Data Monkey is going to send me email, guys, but why I share my emails because I want a lot of you hunters to share some pics. Share those trophy pics. It doesn't matter. It could be a spike horn. But don't share some hunting success pics and a short story of your success and what tactics, deer hunting tactics or approach you used, what you used for a weapon, if you use calls or not, if you were in a stand, blind, ground hunted. Just share your story of how you got that deer, bear, moose. Doesn't matter. It could be turkey hunting success. It could be any. As you see, I bear hunt, deer hunt, coyote hunt, I moose hunt. So share any hunting success story with me at wildmaineoutdoors@gmail.com. I'll give a shout out, show your pics, share your story. I'm building a community with my live stream every Monday night, a fishing and hunting community. After deer hunting content and deer hunting episodes, regular episodes uploaded on my Spike Skills YouTube channel, and after deer hunting live streams on Monday nights, I'm going to transition into ice fishing season. So there'll be some fish talk, ice fishing talk, And so this is, yeah, I want this to be a fishing, hunting community and a safe place, obviously, where we can all come together and just share stories and make some friends and such, so forth, so on. So JHS was a solid guy right here. His tube, how you doing, buddy? His tube, are you a Maine hunter or do you hunt another state? Let us know. Did you guys know that Mary from Georgia, she shot an 8-point buck in Georgia? Good for her. I love getting the female hunters on here. And she paid me 99 cents, gave me a heart, thumbs up, sent a donation of 99 cents to support me and my efforts. And I appreciate that, Mary. I have the shopping icon below all my videos, all my regular videos, so you can click on to shop, browse my hoodies and shirts and stuff. But I also like to mention in the description below all of my videos, I've already been live almost an hour now, so it's almost time to end this live stream. So towards the end of every live stream, I like to mention my 2 books. I'm working on a 3rd book, eventually a 4th. I'm going to do a volume 2 of Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. This book, this first book of mine, Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. This is like a sectional book. It has several sections. It's got a section on black bear hunting, deer hunting, coyote hunting, bobcat hunting, and red fox hunting. Then the volume 2 of Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets will be about bear hunting, deer hunting, moose hunting, and turkey hunting. So this is like a good coffee table book. It's really big. It has a lot of photos. There was interviews that I'd done with the state of Maine biologists. Those chapters on here about that. Those interviews with other hunters and biologists. There's all that information and that story. Those stories are in here. There's my experiences, my stories and experiences in this book. Lots of photos. The PayPal links to order any one of these 2 books is in the description below all my videos. You click on the more, click on more and look more down in the description below all my videos. You can see the PayPal links to order any one of my 2 books, Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets, and the Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. There are also ebooks. You can download them on your iPads, Nooks, your Kindles, your iPhones, your computers. They're both ebooks. They're also hard copies. The PayPal link is to use that to order the hard copies of the books. But you can go to lulu.com to find the ebooks. You can find these books on Amazon as well. You can order them through Amazon. And the Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You, is like a guide for woodsmanship. This is a great book to help. So this isn't really about hunting in general. It's more about awareness and tracking and just gaining more woodsmanship to ultimately lead you into becoming a better hunter in the sense the Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. Sit Spot meaning like go to your favorite forest, your favorite area, your favorite place in the woods, in the forest, in the wilderness, and establish a sit spot, a place where you can quietly sneak into and sit for hours on end, just sit still and quietly and just observe your surroundings, just take it all in and learn the woods, learn from the wildlife around you at your sit spot. And there's chapters in here about tracking, the art of tracking, based on the knowledge I gained from Michael Douglas, known as the Tracker, who learned his skills from an Apache Indian he called Grandpa. And he's from the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. Michael Douglas. No, that's Tom Brown Jr. I learned, things I've learned from Michael Douglas, who ultimately learned from Tom Brown Jr., who is the Tracker. Things that I learned from them and through them from reading the books and going through courses, advanced wood survival courses with Michael Douglas. I share in this book, The Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You, those things I learned about tracking and awareness, how to read tracks and how to be a better tracker, and how to be more aware of your surroundings, and how to listen to the birds. What are they telling you by what you're hearing from the bird? and the squirrel. What's the concentric rings that are occurring in the forest around you, telling you, so letting you know there's a bigger mammal approaching, a deer, moose, bear, whatever, when you're sitting there in your sit spot. That, yeah, great. So yeah, Wild Man Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets in the sit spot, discovering the forest near you. PayPal links in the description below to click on to order any one of these 2 books or both books. Then there's the shopping icon, and click on to browse hoodies and shirts for Spikes and Mules. All right, so enough of that. Enough said there. But Data Monkey says, I sent an email, solid guy right here. His tube, 100% good dude. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so do you want me to, Data Monkey, do you want me to open that email now or wait till next Monday? It's your choice. Got the laptop right here, buddy. Ready to fire away. I'm going, where is Jason Gibson? He sent, I think, what is he? He tagged out. He got a buck last week. So Jason Gibson sent me an email with some pictures. The email made me hungry. It made me want to go eat some venison. He shared some pics of what he was eating and shared a recipe he used. I might as well share that now. I could bring it back next Monday night. So Data Monkey, do you want me to open your email now and share, or wait till next Monday night? It's your choice, because the hour is almost up. They were waiting on hearing from Data Monkey. So let's see, we've got there's a lot of guys that have been live with me several Mondays in a row that went on moose hunts. They're supposed to be joining me back here to tell me how their moose hunts went, whether or not they were successful or not. They said they would come back on. Haven't seen, there's a few fellas that have been regulars that haven't come back on yet. But I appreciate that, guys, for giving me a shout out. So, says my mom is going to her friend's farm, and he said there was a 14-point buck down there, so I better get a pair of antlers. And that's from Kurt. Now, KHT Waves HH. Casey says, that's awesome. Data Monkey, his tube, and Mary, and everyone else, Kaysen, and all you guys, Garrett. This person says, my mom is going to her friend's farm, and he said there was a 14-point buck down there. So I better get a pair of antlers. What do you want to use the antlers for? If you don't mind me asking, Casey, what are you excited for? What do you use the antlers for? And from a 14-point buck, for that matter. So Data Monkey says, how do you identify a bedding area on a pine needle covered area? I can send some pictures. It's bizarre. So yeah, Data Monkey, I go into my email now. I already got it open. So Dave D. So Data Monkey is your channel name. I think Dave is you. So, hey man, I really enjoy your YouTube. I hunt in Plymouth, Massachusetts. My nephew and I are first-year serious hunters. Oh, nice. Data Monkey, you and your nephew are first-year serious hunters for deer. I'll attach a couple pictures of some deer. I have 4 doe tags this year as well. Woo! I started with 5 deer tags, Data Monkey, and I filled 3 of those 5. I got 2 does and a buck so far. I've got another buck tag and a doe tag. My wife would kill me if I go hunting again. I would like to at least try to shoot a trophy, nice stud buck or something with a bow and expanded archery. So it says, thanks for not only showing knowledge, but also helping maintain a resource. No problem. So it's so Data Monkey says, how do you identify a bedding area on pine needles? I've seen a lot of beds in that type of substrate, that type of forest floor substrate. It's so you're looking at the ground. This is part of woodsmanship skills and just developing an eye and just a general kind of common sense knowledge base about woodsmanship. And there's that when you're walking through the woods, you could almost immediately identify where an animal walked versus where they didn't, or where an animal may have laid down where they didn't, based on whether or not the substrate is crushed and broken and matted down, flattened down, and pushed down, or is everything does everything on the forest floor seem untouched in some way, shape, or form? Are the needles and leaves and sticks kind of just laid there? Kind of does it seem like they're laid there gently? And is there a lot of kind of dead airspace in between all that stuff? Or is it mushed and smushed and broken together and matted down with a crisp edge, kind of what appears to be like a crisp edge to it? That might be the outline of the backbone or rump of that deer where they had bedded down in the pines. So does that help in any way? I see you sent some pics. I'm gonna sneeze. Didn't take an allergy. Stupid cat. Oh wow! Oh wait, it's a pic of a. Oh, look at this buck. This is from Massachusetts. She says, I just sent another email with the area I found. I can send a video too if it's easier. Like a video clip from the trail camera. That's a nice Massachusetts buck. Yeah, am I getting this right? Yeah, MA, that's Massachusetts. I should, if you and your nephew are first-time serious hunters, next deer season, this next coming year, me and my son, he'll be almost 14 by then. Me and my son should make a trip down to Massachusetts to meet up with you guys, and we could camera for one another, be cameraman for one another, and flip-flop vice versa. I should come, me and Bryson should buy Massachusetts tags and come hunt with you guys. How'd you like that? I'd love to hunt Massachusetts. That would be cool. So this is a nice buck. What is it, an 8-pointer? It's a good Massachusetts buck right there. I hope you get him. What's this pic? Will this one open for me? It says couldn't preview the file there. What a problem. Oh, you gotta download it. I don't know. We won't do that. Okay, what's the other email? I can send a video too if you like to see. Oh, here's bedding area. Hey, let me know what you think. Oh. Okay, so this pic you sent me, Data Monkey, if you're still listening. Okay, yeah. So I think you want me to look at the ground, the pine needles in the ground right in front. Yeah, man, that sounds great. I'd love to hunt Maine too. We could do that. We could swap hunts. You could come hunt Maine. Me and Bryson could go. My son's 12. I want him to. I've had him run camera during a turkey hunt and stuff. He likes doing that. He shot his first deer at 10. My son almost got his second deer this year on Youth Day. He was getting ready to squeeze the trigger on the deer, ran away. He was like, Dad, I was like, my finger was like squeezing the trigger when the deer ran off. And we're gonna, this week, I can focus on hunting with him. I got my buck Saturday, so I'm gonna hunt with him tomorrow night after school. Wednesday night, I have the rest of all this week to hunt with my son. Focus on him, get him in the woods, and we can hunt together and hope he can get his second deer. Yeah, the ground is all tore up in this. I see that, Data Monkey, that just a lot of, it almost appears like, do you have red squirrels in Massachusetts? It almost appears like there's a fury of squirrel activity around here. Red squirrels, they eat the nuts inside the pine cones. It could have been squirrels and stuff digging, squirrels and birds and other smaller critters digging through the pine needles for pine cones, because they'll to rip off the shell of the outer parts of the pine cone to get to the nuts, the seeds inside the pine cone to eat. So that could be this type. That could be this sign. That's what that almost looks like to me. Man, why am I? Yeah, I did just have a sneezing attack, so excuse me, guys. Of course, we have a lot of cats, and I developed an allergy to cats, but I love freaking cat. Love my cats. I got a 30-pound Maine Coon cat. I'm a cat lover, a deer lover. I love it all. Love all animals. I have respect for mankind, and all life forms. It saddens me. It's a bittersweet kind of ending to when you shoot a deer. It's, that hence my title of my live stream. It talks about giving thanks where thanks is due. You should always thank the animal. Depending on your beliefs, thank what you believe in. Thank the higher power of, in my case, God. I thank God. Give him thanks. I thank him for the wonderful bounty that I can put on the table, feed my family, share with my friends. I could expound a lot on how healthy venison is. Dr. Grant Woods, who's a multi-time organ transplant survivor, he's had organs transplants, and his doctor gives him a clean bill of health all the time. The doctor always asks, "What's your diet like?" And he says venison. Dr. Grant Woods is a deer hunter. Most people know who he is from the Growing Big with Steve Bartilla, and Growing Deer and Deer, something like that. Yeah, Dr. Grant Woods, him and some other friends of his, buddies of his that are scientists and biologists that compared like salmon and deer meat and cow and other various meats and stuff. It's come back that venison is the healthiest. It's like the best. The venison, if a lot of you might not know, but deer meat is one of the meats, probably the only meat out there that humans contract the majority of the nutrients from. The nutrition value of venison, like all the minerals and vitamins and whatever's nutritional about venison, whatever, all those nutrients are absorbing. We're absorbing them. We're using them. It's one of those meats that benefit humans tremendously, health-wise. Like hence Dr. Grant Woods always getting that clean bill of health from his doctor because he eats tons of venison, and he's had organ transplants multiple times and had blood transfusions. So what's that tell you about venison? I mean, we want to feed it to our family, friends, our children. We want to keep eating it. So Data Monkey, this picture, see everybody? Oh yeah. So here's a picture Data Monkey sent me, everybody. And the pic, that it looks like it's near a bedding area. See it thick in the background. I see it thicker. It looks like this is almost a ridge. And down below, Data Monkey is at the lowest elevation. If I go down this ridge towards the green pine needles, where the green stuff is, does that go into low elevation? And is that by chance the lowest elevation around anywhere in your hunting area? Because if that's the case, that's a thermal hub there. That's a deer probably are bedding down there. Or they're bedding on fringes of that, edges of that. They're bedding somewhere. They're probably doing midday bed shifts when the hottest temp comes. In the middle of the day, the temp always reaches a high. At that point, your thermals and winds will shift direction. Thermals will change, so deer will get up. And this is when a lot of hunters are successful midday. When those that do all-day sits, this would be the time when a lot of hunters are successful shooting their trophy buck midday, because especially if you're set up near the bedding area where the buck is already bedding. A lot of times the hunters catch him doing a bed shift. He got up from one area where he was laying, and he might move a couple 100 yards. But in that movement time, that buck could cross paths with a hunter and get shot, as he was just doing a bed shift to go bed over here where the thermals were more favorable for him, and the wind, because the wind shifted direction, such, so forth, so on. So this looks like it's deer would bed here. You got an edge, it looks like. They're creatures of edge. They like to bed on the third. If it's a steep ridge, a long ridge, if you got a plateau kind of flat top, or if it's a point of land with slopes on either side and the jets out to a point, and you have a ridge here, and then it plateaus off and flattens out the deeper forest behind you, that a lot of deer will bed on the third way down those ridges. There could be deer bedding there because the wind could be coming from over here. The wind would be coming and rolling over the point across the plateau and come down and blow over the deer, and you could have that swirl, that thermal effect, the downward pull of the thermals, the cooler air down below, lower elevation is pulling down, and you have the wind coming over the top and the pull of the thermal causing a swirl effect, allowing the deer to smell any potential danger from above and from over here and behind. So that deer might bed a third way down this ridge. If wind's coming from this way, they could get that swirling effect, thermal pull, and so they can smell approaching danger. Could be a hard area to get on a buck or a deer. You want to consider thermals, wind direction, thermal. How are the thermals playing a role in your hunting area? It's almost impossible to sneak up on a deer, to get right on a deer in their exact bedroom where they're laying because of the thermals. They're relying solely on thermals. 90% of the time, the deer are strolling through their environment, walking with a benefiting from the thermals. They're paying attention to the thermals. A lot of hunters wonder why sometimes a mature trophy buck is walking with the wind in their faces or a wind to the sides versus the back. Most hunters think that all deer travel with the wind at their backs, so the wind's blowing scent this to their backside, so they can smell potential danger or threats behind them and use their eyes and ears and stuff to see what might be in front of them for danger or threat, whatever. But it doesn't really matter. Deer will travel in all different directions because of thermals. So anyways, let's see any other question. Maybe deer looking for fungus. Oh, that's awesome. Data Monkey, you are, man, I want to meet you, but yeah. How'd you know that deer eat fungus or there's even, I think, some parts of moss they eat. Man, I wish, oh wait, I got my laptop here. Well, I would need my external hard drive for this. It's over there. Maybe next Monday night been live long enough, but next Monday night I might share some vid clips. Look, what do you guys think of that? Data Monkey says, and this pic he sent me, it could be if you are seeing deer scat, and there are deer tracks all through here. I can't really pinpoint, I can't tell from the photo. I'd have to be there in person, but if it's all deer tracks you're seeing and deer droppings all around, then it probably is, all this sign is made from deer, probably looking for something they're eating under the needles, fungus and things. Yeah, there's certain deer will eat certain mushrooms. Deer eat lichen and stuff and such so forth. There's something to do with moss. I was filming a doe, videoed a doe and a young spike buck under my tree saddle, feeding on something in the green moss. The forest floor was covered with moss. There was some funguses. Oh, I was watching the red squirrels eat certain mushrooms under my tree saddle. I believe the deer were eating those same type of mushrooms. So it was probably fungus. Well, it had probably nothing to do with the moss. But I was witnessing the deer eating certain mushrooms, fungus in the moss. I got video of that, which is cool. Just video proof that deer eat fungus, eat mushrooms, and the red squirrels too. So yeah, that's cool. So lots of deer tracks, lots of scat. Yeah, I think you got it right, Data Monkey. If that other sign is screaming deer, then it was deer looking for fungus. Yeah. Huh. So, did you pick up on that, Data Monkey? I was talking about I was asking actually if this is a ridge. Are you like standing on the top of the ridge, or are you a third way down, a quarter down that ridge? Does it keep climbing up behind you, and does it plateau off? What other features are around here? I sent another picture of a heavy ground scrape. It seemed like every old log was moved. Thick branch, not log. Okay. Cool, cool. So he sent another email of wait, where it hasn't come. Oh, I gotta hit refresh. Refresh my computer. And maybe it'll come through. Waiting on that other pic to come through. Gotta refresh this thing. Oh, just do this. Oh, right there. So, all right. Where is it? Jason Gibson, buddy, are you on here with us? Jason Gibson hasn't made it. Has passed his. Yeah, I gotta go to bed soon, but so he says behind me is a drop to power lines. Beyond is a drop as well, so it is the top of a ridge. Okay, I kind of thought that. So that I'm willing to bet a lot of money that there are bucks and does that do bed somewhere close by here, Data Monkey. So you want to tread lightly. You most likely are where this was. I don't know what time of day you were there, but I bet there were deer bedded close by. You may have alerted some deer, would not even have known it. They don't always alarm snort. A lot of times you don't even know that the deer took off. They could have smelt you or seen you approaching from over 100 yards away, and you never heard them take off or slip on out of there. So let's see what else is behind me. Is a drop to power lines. So you may know this. I bet. Well, you probably see this in your area and know it. Maybe you yourself have been successful at seeing a lot of deer on power lines. Can be a great area for deer hunting. Power lines create edges, obviously, and power lines have a lot of food sources available in them. And power lines can be hilly with dips, with like low elevation areas. There could be trickling streams or brooks running across the power lines. Power lines are great crossings and travel corridors and travel routes, and they create great edges. They can be great places to hunt the white-tailed deer and to spot white-tailed deer. So let's see, I was there at 1 p.m. yesterday. So you may have been fine. You might not have alerted any deer. There could have been deer bedded close by and you didn't even know it, and they didn't know you were there probably. I mean, I'm not sure what you do with your human odor. I don't believe in the sprays, the commercial sprays, scent away sprays either anymore. They do work for external, only for surface type scent. If an odor, there was some type of scent odor here, and you sprayed that, and that dried, the scent away spray dried on it. It would take care of that immediate odor on the surface, but then there's the internal, the scent within the fibers of your clothing and the internal scent and odors. So hence activated carbon, charcoal carbon. I buy the bags of charcoal carbon, activated carbon, and put in stockings, women's stockings. I fill several of them, and I layer. I put some on the bottom of the toe. I put a layer of clothing down, another couple of those stockings full of activated carbon. I layer. You will get black fingers. You got to just wipe. They wipes off, rinses off. You'll get some black on your clothes, but and I put the activated carbon in the stockings. I dry my boots on the boot dryer and then put activated carbon in my boots to keep them scent free. Then I put the boots in a plastic bag with activated carbon to eliminate any odor on the boots themselves. So I use that for scent away. Obviously bathe in some sort of free scent away soap and scent away deodorant. So I'll chew mint gum for my breath odor or suck on an apple. Most of what the animals are smelling are from our exhale, or what we breathe out, our exhale. That's what they're smelling, what's alarming them. So it's important to control our breath, the odor of our breath too. So I don't know what you do for scent control, but if you were quiet, or if you just had the wind and thermals to your advantage in this area, the deer probably didn't have a clue you existed, and there could have been deer bedded nearby there. It says, I set up new cell cams, hoping for something tonight. Yeah, nice. You got, you're going all out, man. Is your nephew this hardcore too? Data Monkey, you said that you and your nephew are first year hunters, but are really serious about it. So you probably watch the Hunting Public. Love them guys. I'm subscribed to the Hunting Public and Deer Hunting, and obviously the Southern Outdoorsman podcast. I recommend that. You can learn a ton from them guys. Jake and what's the other guy's name? So I love, yeah. If you're as serious as I am, you're probably listening to hunting podcasts and watching all the Bill Wink and Deer Hunting YouTube channel, and the Growing Big with Dr. Grant Woods, and there's the Deer Society and other deer research type channels. So yeah. But is your nephew as serious about hunting as you are? That hasn't come in yet. You said you sent me another. Let's see, what it said. You sent another picture of a heavy ground scrape. I haven't got that pic yet. I'm not seeing that email. Why not? Hit refresh again. Oh no. How come that didn't come through? That's weird. It says, yeah, he is super into it. Oh, and you were turkey hunters before. Oh, so you started out with your turkey hunting and then got into deer. Sweet. Turkey hunting chatter and turkey hunting episodes on my channel are going to be here on Spikes and Gills after ice fishing season. There's ice fishing coming. If you're from Massachusetts, you must ice fish too. I think there's some ice fishing in Massachusetts. Does it get cold enough to build good ice, enough ice, at least a foot of ice, so that you guys can ice fish down there? Let's see who else is with us live. Probably not too many. They've all gone to bed. But it's been great chatting with you, Data Monkey, and thank you for the emails. Oh, hold on. Aha, resent it. Went through. Yes, it did. I got it. Just getting ready to say good night. So we're gonna do this, and then I'll see you next Monday night, buddy. Hopefully next Monday night you Data Monkey, you or your nephew have a big buck down. Oh, nice. Geez, that. It's not covered with needles and leaves and. Oh, do you think this scrape was made within the last week? Because the scraping behavior has subsided here in Maine. This scrape might not even have anything to do with the early season pre-rut scrape line behavior that the bucks portray. Like it's always said that there's like only a 7 to 10 day window where you could bet all your dollars that if you sat there for a week every day for a week on watching a scrape line, that eventually that buck would come back around and you'd be able to kill him. But then the scraping kind of subsides, goes away, stops, the scrapes go cold, and because the does are coming into heat, it's the peak of the rut, so forth, so on. But there's the shadow scrapes, there's just the nervous twitch type scrapes where the buck is they're just in that, they're feeling it. They're feeling like doing bucky things. They're thrashing the bushes. They're still wanting to paw the ground, and frustration, and just, that might be this type of scrape. This scrape might not be worth hunting over. This might have been a one-time scrape too. There's always that. A lot of times bucks that are travelers, and they're seeking for the next available doe and hopes to find another doe that might be in estrus in the area. Or they could be just on a morning jaunt around their home range, just doing that spending a few days scent checking doe groups, just because you never know, there could not be another doe that comes in estrus later in the season. Yeah, this might be a one-time. This buck might not come back through here at all for the rest of the season. Actually, believe it or not, yes, that can happen. But that's cool. It's a neat pick. That's a neat scrape. But there's a number of reasons why that buck might have scraped there, a number of reasons why that buck walked through here, and also a number of reasons why he might return to here or not. We can't read their mind. We're all going on assumptions here. We can't talk. Deer can't talk human. We don't fully comprehend them and understand them, but we go on presumption and assumption just based on common sense, common generalistic knowledge and stuff from eons of scientific studies and research and stuff, and things we've read and listened to just as hunters and just from our own personal experiences. So, I mean, yeah. See, Data Monkey, we've got someone here, Lou Jordan says, it's deer season in Illinois. I went out yesterday and a couple days before, and I only saw a few and took shots, just too far for my gun. I've had so many deer show up when bow hunting, none in gun. So if you've had a lot of deer show up in bow season, but none during so Illinois is hunting, huh? I think, doesn't Illinois have wide open spaces? So Lou Jordan, thank you for joining the live stream, Lou Jordan. So you're an Illinois hunter. So it says, Data Mike says, thanks, I appreciate it. That's the same area with the ground tore up. Oh, nice. Yeah, Wooly says, should I go deer hunting tomorrow? Well, yeah. Email me back when you have time. Let's keep in touch, man. Yeah, I'm using my iPhone right now for the live stream. But I'll have my phone. I'm working on taxidermy tomorrow. I've got to do the rough fleshing and salting of 2 deer, big buck capes. I'll send you pics. I'll email you pics of the bucks I'm working on, Data Monkey, that I'm going to be mounting. I do my own taxidermy. I mounted the bear, the buck here. I mounted that buck. So I've been doing taxidermy for 3 years. I've mounted bear, deer, and moose, working on a full life-size mount of a bobcat. So I'll send you pics of that, email you pics of that. So you have a good night, Data Monkey, and yes, go hunting. You and your nephew, you go shoot a big one. So we've got Fear No Farm. Fear No Farm says, are you the one that was using the Allen Strike Force? Yes. Fear No Farm. Yes, I was. I have that review video out about the yeah, these right here. You're asking about these. The Strike broadheads by Allen. The Vapor cut on contact, rear deploying, 2-blade. I've killed 3 does and 2 bucks. I killed a black bear with this. Brought with one of these, brought with a Strike broadhead. Not any one of these in this package, but killed a bear this year with a Strike broadhead, and I killed this 202-pound 9-point buck over my right shoulder last year. And last year I killed and then 2 years ago I killed 2 does with this, and I killed a doe this year and a bear with one of these. So I've killed deer and bear with these broadheads. They're great broadheads. So why do you ask? Fear No Farm says. Oh yeah, they say yeah, Lou Jordan, to see more deer, pay attention to the wind direction. Get into funnels or choke points. Don't worry about baiting or any of that. Yeah, good advice. You could use draws and drainages for approach, and letting the downward pull of cooler air, the thermals keep your scent. push it down towards the elevation where you parked, to approach a stand or blind and hunt up the tops, the heads of draws and drainages, watching those intersection of trails up there. That's a good, but yeah, and they're creatures of edge, man. Hunt those edges and those funnels, interior edges, inside corners. Deer, especially mature bucks, they're known to avoid openings, field edges. They'll skirt tail around inside corners, hunting in the corners inside the woods 50 or more yards. On inside corners, you catch cruising bucks coming by those corners. A lot of times there might be a pinch point or funnel within that corner, off that corner of a field or edge, a corner of a swamp or a logging area. And you might find an interior edge from the outside edge. The outside edge is obviously the field. Interior edges, great stand setups. And obviously your pinch point. Let's see, yes, I was, Fear No Farm says, or perhaps even just by chance, the force of the air launching it. So Fear No Farm says, yes, I use dry creek beds for visual concealment and well as sound. Sand is much quieter than leaves. Use land features as concealment for access and hunting spots where deer may be feeding on. Yes, all great. That's great advice. Yes, creek beds and drainages. It all stems from our woodsmanship skills that we've developed and learned through the years. Do you possess great woodsmanship skills from what you learned from your parents, your father, from other hunters, from role models? And have you just developed woodsmanship skills through all the years you've hunted and been in the woods? And so you know how to read the land. So you know how to pinpoint an entry strategy, an exit strategy, without alerting any deer, without leaving too much ground scent, without any deer walking by, or so you're not crossing deer trails, deer paths. It's very helpful to find entry and exit routes that deer aren't using, areas that deer aren't frequenting, areas that deer can't, for that matter, can't travel or won't travel, and areas that deer are avoiding, for you to access deeper into the woods where the deer are hanging out, where they spend the majority of the day. So you can slip in quietly and stealthily and scent free without alarming any deer. So you can get your buck. So yeah, that's all great advice, Fear No Farm. So Fear No Farm, here's those strike. You asked about the strike broadheads. Maybe you were just asking if I was that guy. You must have, maybe you watched that review video, that video where I shot this buck. This 9-point buck with a strike broadhead. Let's see. Lou Jordan says, we have so many points of entry they come in at, and it changes all the time where they come out, and I hunt in a bottom where there's a creek to the left. Yeah, so that can be tricky if the deer are everywhere. I think you're from Illinois, if I stand correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Lou Jordan's from Illinois. You have a higher deer density probably than like the state of Maine or New England states. So there could be deer everywhere, virtually. Where there's high deer density, the deer are overlapping home ranges and they're encroaching on one another, and they're probably highly stressed because of the lack of, or whatever, of food and water and space. They require space just like any other mammal, for that matter. So where there's high deer density or deer concentration, you could have a lot more nuisance deer problems, deer walking the roadways, and just because there's just too many deer and they're losing ground, losing space to live. Their carrying capacity could be way above the threshold. We need to keep the carrying capacity of all the critters we hunt, bear, deer, moose, doesn't matter. There's a special carrying threshold. And when exceeded above that threshold, a lot of problems arise. Starvation, disease spreading, lack of food availability, lack of space, nuisance problems, deer, animal collisions, such and so forth. So on. You could go on and on. So that's why hunting is such a vital tool in the conservation model that the Inland Fish and Wildlife and the department, game wardens and biologists have in play. Hunting will always be the #1 wildlife conservation tool to help with the carrying capacity, to keep the populations at threshold or slightly below. But in a place like Illinois, I imagine certain parts of that state, the deer are way above threshold. So I can see your point there, Lou Jardin, that it could be virtually impossible to not alarm or alert any deer when accessing a hunting spot because of the population so high. But it says, Fiona Farmer says, I would also not recommend tying yourself down to a spot. You need to be mobile. If you're hunting on a private property that is just not very big, perhaps diversity and start looking at public ground. Yes, I seen it. Oh yeah, I seen it. She said, yeah, nice. You're pretty much the only person who has actually published results with the broadhead. And I'm more of a fixed blade person, but I was having tuning issues and was about to give up. So you almost gave into the mechanical too. I see, yeah. So you were almost contemplating making the switch from fixed blade. I do love a nice, mean looking, sick looking fixed blade broadhead. If you can sight in a bow with a fixed blade broadhead and tune out your equipment right to that, some fixed blade broadheads. Oh man, they're sick. Oh, I do love a nice fixed blade broadhead, but you can't beat being able to. I mean, I can shoot my field tipped arrows, and practice one of these, and have my arrows hitting the exact same mark. They do fly. Just these fixed blade broadheads do fly very much like, not exact, but very close, very accurately to the field tipped arrows. So I could just practice all day long with field tipped arrows and save my broadheads for hunting. But I can practice like 2, 4, 6, 7 times. With one of these $25 packages of broadheads, they're very affordable. You can get like 7 practice shots with one and hunt with 2, not break the bank. So I have a review video on my Spike Skills YouTube channel you guys can go watch about these broadheads where I shot. In that video, I think I show myself shooting this 202-pound 9-point buck with one of these broadheads. But see, I just uploaded an episode on my channel. I think the very next episode is going to be about this hunt from last year. This trophy buck hunt on Halloween Day. Shot this 202-pound 9-point buck. Right here, that video's coming. Well, let's see, it says, do you have crossbow or combo? I use compound bow. I've got it's the Realm. It's a Bowtech bow. It's a Realm bow by Bowtech. I do want to buy a Matthews bow. I never owned a Matthews bow in my life, and I want to buy one of them. I want that to be a Matthews bow, one of them, to be my next bow. My son is hunting with a crossbow. We have a crossbow that we borrowed from a friend that my son's hunting with this year. I'm going to take him hunting this week to try to get, so he can try to get his second deer. He's 12. He got his first deer at 10. He didn't want to hunt much last couple years. He always said no. I never push him. I don't force him into it. He has gotten a deer under his belt. Daddy's proud of that. He knows about it. And this year, at 12, he decided to go again and had fun. He almost got one on Youth Day. So it says here, see, I thought I bought like 3 packs of them for $8 each on sale last year. Oh yeah, they're very affordable. I mean, yeah, it doesn't break the bank. I scoff them. I buy a bunch of them too. I can't see the real reason behind buying $45 to $60 packages of broadheads that only have like 3 broadheads. And you've got to tune your bow to them and practice with them to gain confidence. But a $60 broadhead, practicing with it and dulling it, and then and having to throw it away or losing it, and then can't see. That's not feasible. But $25, that's not bad. 20 to, and like in your case, you got them for $8 on sale. So that's awesome. They all, almost every broadhead, just saying almost because there could be a select few that some of you could probably attest to this, that are just horrible. But for all intents and purposes, all broadheads will kill, will work in some way, shape, or form if tuned correctly and practiced with, and they'll all work. So Magnus buzz cuts fit really well. Yeah, sweet. What's up, brother? Oak Ridge Taxidermist. How you doing, buddy? So you come on late. Oak Ridge Taxidermist has joined me live a few other times. And can we see that mount up close, please? Yeah, he asked, yeah, so Oak Ridge Taxidermist asked that question last Monday night. I think you left when I was showing it. Let's show you this mount up close. Here, let's, look at this. Here we got a bunny rabbit. Snowshoe hare. Bear. So this is a bear. This is my first ever mount. First ever shoulder mount I ever did. It's a New Brunswick black bear. And for all of you that are with us live still or just joining, this is for Oak Ridge Taxidermist. He asked to see the mount. And I screwed up the eyes a bit. I need to, for the finishing touches, I need to touch this one up. Fix it a little bit. But that's my first ever shoulder mount. And then I mounted this over there. This 8-point buck right in front. This is my first deer mount right here. It has a bigger, got coyote, howling, fox, bobcat. Here's a life-size mount of a male bobcat. I didn't mount that. Another taxidermist did that one. But some turkey tails, turkey down the wall, squirrel, bear, coyote, bear skull. So he's got good detail. I like the lighting. These lights don't do it justice, but so here's a 202-pound 9-point buck showing the creasing from the bend of the neck, the nose detail, ear detail, eye, nose, nostril, nose. There we go. There. Yeah, so I mounted this buck myself, and then we got some euros. This buck I shot back in high school with my pants. I was taking a dump. I had to go so bad. This buck come running in, I think, to the farting. I was just got done wiping and was pulling up my fleece pants and trying to buckle my pants, and this 8-point buck was running in, trotting in. I shot him at like 30 yards with my slug, my 12-gauge pump shotgun with a slug, and my pants were falling down to my knees. I shot this buck with my pants falling down to my knees. Go figure, right? That's quite the story, but that's the God's honest truth. Here's a buck I shot with my bow. Here's an 8-point buck I shot with my bow. Shot this with my bow, this buck. Shot him with my bow. Shot this bear with my bow. Shot that buck with my bow there, that buck. I shot all those deer over there with my bow. I shot this deer with my bow. Shot this 4-pointer. This is a bow deer. Those are all bow deer. These are bow deer. Shot that with my bow up there. I've got, some excess deer hide. Anyways. So let's put that down. Anyways, so I have some more bear capes in the freezer. Got some more bear mounts I need to do for myself the last couple bear I shot. I have a couple more bucks I need to mount up to put on the wall. At least the 2, yeah, one for sure, maybe 2. My sons, I got to mount one for my son. But yeah, so there you go. What do you think, Oak Ridge Taxidermist? So Oak Ridge Taxidermist says, thank you. You have some great mounts. Hey, thank you, pal. Appreciate it. So Oak Ridge Taxidermist, you can, I just got here. I'm going to close this email out from Data Monkey, but there's this young fella from Massachusetts. Him and his nephew are first year deer hunters, and they're getting real serious about it. And I share my email too, so folks like you can share your success stories, send some pics with short stories about your success, and I'll give you a shout out on my live stream and show your pics and share your story, and you can join us live and chat away and share some more detail about it. My email is wildmaineoutdoors@gmail.com, wildmaineoutdoors@gmail.com. I haven't seen Jason Gibson come on here yet. So we got Judson Spiller. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes. So you owed them. So you did them. Yes, I did. Fear No Farm. I did the mounts. I've been doing taxidermy for 3 years. It says I just shot a buck on public with a drop tine 2 mile pack out last night in a thunderstorm. Very grueling, and that's awesome. Fear No Farm, everybody shot a public land buck with a drop tine 2 mile pack out. Oh my, that is awesome. Did you film that? Did you get any video like with a smartphone or anything like that? And if you have a YouTube channel, you should post that away on YouTube. Share that. That's awesome. See, Judson Spiller says happy Thanksgiving to you. As my title implies. Oh, what is that? Is that a line? Oh, okay. So Oak Ridge Taxidermist, I think, gave a $2 donation, or I got $2 from. He gave a heart of them. Well, thank you everybody for the support and everything. So, and congratulations. For what state are you in? Yeah. So Oak Ridge Taxidermist wants to know, Fear No Farm, what state. Yeah, I didn't even know that, but we've been chatting with a guy from Illinois, who in Illinois has a high deer density. I guess it could be tough to go in unnoticed. You're almost always probably jumping a deer in a place like Illinois. There's deer everywhere, eyes and nose and ears everywhere. But what was I going to say? I've been live for 107 minutes. Sweet. And nice. I gained $2.99 extra from kind folks like you donating and stuff. And I already mentioned, see, I'm from so Judson Spiller's from Texas, but how about you, Fear No Evil? What state are you hunting in? To get a buck like that or drop tines? You could find bucks with drop tines in any state. I mean, if they're out there, there's always those ghostly monster bucks that go unnoticed for a long time, and there's event. Every now and then, a lucky hunter comes across paths with a once-in-a-lifetime buck, which is that's the allure of hunting. It's just, woo. So as my title implies on the live stream, I already talked about late season hunting way earlier in the live stream, but about giving thanks. I mean, this is clearly the week of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming, and we should all be thankful every day for our blessings. No matter what you believe in, what your beliefs are, doesn't matter. There are those that believe in God, those that believe in some other higher power of being, or there are those that worship in some other way, shape, or form. No matter what you believe in, just believe in what you feel is worth believing in. That's what my mother always told me. She always said, just believe in what you feel is worth believing in. What makes you happiest, what helps you be successful in life, what keeps you persevering, pushing forward. Be thankful for that, whatever it is. If it's God, thank God. Thank the animal that you shoot. In this case, this is all about deer hunting. We should be thankful for the animal, for the deer, for them being out. We should be thankful that we, as hunters, have the privilege to hunt. That our privilege isn't revoked, it isn't taken away. It is a privilege. It could stop tomorrow. Oh, please don't. Right? We need to be thankful for everything. And yeah, so just count your blessings, man. Count your lucky stars that we're hunters. We're able to go out there and harvest these magnificent animals to put some of the healthiest, the healthiest meat, table fare in front of our families to feed our children, our family, friends. I mentioned earlier Dr. Grant Woods. I'll never stop bringing this guy up because I just learned recently that Dr. Grant Woods has a friend of his that's a scientist that compared salmon, the salmon flesh, salmon meat, which has always been known to be one of the healthiest nutritional meats that humans can consume healthy. But Dr. Grant Woods, he's had multiple organ transplants. He's a multi-time organ transplant survivor, has different blood transfusions, and his doctor will give him a clean bill of health during his physicals, and doctor always asks him what has been your diet, and his answer is always venison, wild venison from deer, and it will impress the doctors tremendously how healthy this guy is after all the health complications that he went through. And this scientist friend of Dr. Grant Woods, he's the host of Growing Big, Growing Deer on the YouTube channel and stuff. So Steve Bartilla, Growing Big, and all that. It's that group of people. So Dr. Grant Woods, this friend of his, has shown from scientific study and research that the deer meat is one meat out there that humans benefit the most from. We get the most nutritional value, we absorb in our bodies, our bloodstream, the most of the nutrients from the deer meat versus some of the other meats that we can consume out there in the world. It is just that healthy of a meat. Venison is incredible. So always remember that and share that with everybody. Share your bounty, your wild venison with your friends and family. It's just that healthy that everyone should be thankful that we have these creatures roaming around, and that we can go out there in God's garden, harvest these animals from God's garden, and feed our family and friends some of the best meat, and we've got to be thankful for that. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And remember the store icon, click on that to browse my hoodies and t-shirts and stuff for Spikes and Gills. And then there's my books, Wild, Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. The PayPal links in the description below all my videos. You can click on them to order any one of or both books. The Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. This is like 5-section book. There's a section on bear hunting, deer hunting, coyote hunting, bobcat hunting, fox hunting. And it's like a coffee table book. It has lots of pictures. I did interviews with biologists and other hunters, and I put their stories and their information in different chapters in this book. And obviously my hunting experiences are in here in this book, Wild, Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. And then there's the Sit Spot, Discovering the Forest Near You. This is a great book to lead a person on the right path to developing great woodsmanship skills. There's chapters in here about awareness, listening to the birds, what they're telling you, what the different sounds and calls you should be listening for. The birds will let you know. What are the birds telling you? Things like that. There's a chapter on that. Chapters in here about tracking, how to read tracks, how to start on the journey of becoming a good tracker. And it's all about just being aware of your surroundings, hence the Sit Spot. Going to your favorite place in the forest, in the mountains, and finding a sit spot, a place where you can sit, be still and quiet, and just use your ears and eyes and sense of smell. Use all 5 senses to be aware of your surroundings, to observe your surroundings, to take it all in, to learn the forest around you, learn from the wildlife around you. What's it all telling you? It's all about becoming woods-wise and developing woodsmanship skills. So that's what this guide is for. The Sit Spot, Discover in the Forest Near You, and Wild Maine Outdoors, Hunting Tactics, Tricks, and Secrets. You can order any one of these books or both with the PayPal links in the description below all my videos. These are all, they're both in all 6 Sherman bookstores across the state of Maine, and in Non-Such Books and bookstores in there. And you can order them through Amazon. They're also ebooks. You can go to lulu.com and search Wild Maine Outdoors or the Sit Spot and download the ebooks on your Nooks or iPads, Kindles, smartphones, computers. So they're ebooks and they're also hard copies. So definitely check them out. You can click on the PayPal links in the descriptions to order any one of those. And obviously there's the shopping icon. So I thank everybody for joining me live this Monday night. I go live every Monday night, 9 to 10. So I hope to see all of you back here next Monday night. So everyone have a good night, and I'll see you next Monday.